Well, thanks for joining us today on this episode of Pandora's podcast, where we're gathering around the fire today and we're going to talk about how to make first-person shooter gameplay.
Somebody burn my beans.
How to make first-person shooter gameplay interesting. Boy, first-person shooters can be a tired concept when you think about it. Just pointing and shooting and killing. How do you get it to be interesting?
Well, that's an excellent question.
How long are we going to talk?
No, we're not going to do this. We are not doing this.
So anyway, there's 4 of us here today, and we're going to talk and yell and scream and cry and punch and kill over this subject because, hey, why not?
You forgot harmonica noises.
I didn't forget. I'm Scribble Scrabble.
I'm Berserker Rage.
I'm Leighton.
And I'm Lieutenant Cavalry.
Hooray! We're all here and we're all ready to talk.
Hooray!
That's like the most looming guitar chord.
Oh no, people are going to talk.
Is that the cue for a harmonica
So,
solo?
just to get things
cue for a harmonica solo.
Just to get things started, Leighton.
Yeah.
You played BioShock Infinite.
I did. I just finished it last night.
Wow. What?
Wowie!
It's like we planned it around that fact.
No.
But you thought it was boring.
Boring shooter. Okay. Thought it was boring gameplay. Beautiful game. Amazing story.
Oh, no.
Very
Trolls are already going through the comments right now saying, Leighton's dumb.
He doesn't like something that I do like.
He's the worst.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
He obviously... So defend your point, sir.
Okay, the gameplay, and I'm just really tired, I think, of most FPSs that revolve around click and point. BioShock's gameplay, my biggest argument against it doesn't add anything to what it was. It in fact, detracts from that. It is boring, it is repetitive, the vigors are okay, but they just... It's wave, use a vigor, shoot, reload, catch ammo from that Elizabeth is yelling at me to catch, but I'm going to scramble and actually to pick up something off the ground. I'm trying to hit X to pick up her ammo.
Okay,
she throws it to me. It's just the same formula over and over.
What do you think they could have done to I guess that's the whole point of the podcast. What do you think they could have done to spice it up, Leighton?
Check it out.
Take it out? What?
Take out the gameplay.
Just take it. What? So it's like
watch a movie.
Yeah, BioShock the movie.
No, interactive narrative. That's what I would like to have seen.
Like Walking Dead?
More like The Walking Dead.
So,
not The Walking Dead.
No, like the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the show.
Well,
The first one.
That'd be a show.
Game, not survivalist.
Not survivalist.
No, God. Oh, God.
What?
Oh.
I pre-ordered that game.
I guess I shouldn't get that game then.
So,
yes.
you pre-ordered it.
I pre-ordered that game.
Did you get your ear keychain or whatever?
No, because I actually pre-ordered it at another GameStop location. And
What?
Yeah, I know. I got yelled at for it. And then told them I didn't want it, and they canceled it and gave me all my money back and kept the keychain.
Those jerks. Okay.
So they never mixed up the gameplay. So, okay, fine. It's first-person shooter. You're going to run around and shoot things, and you're going to use your vigors, and Elizabeth's going to throw things at you. That's fine. But you never do anything that's not that. Like, throughout the whole game, every boss fight is the same.
There's only like...
The final boss fight...
What do you claim as the boss fight?
Well, it's pretty clear, like, it's when they're like, you have one guy, he's big badass, you gotta kill him. Birdman shows up first time. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They do that. And then the first time, giant arms guy comes up.
Handyman.
Yeah. It's a boss fight.
Thanks.
Yeah. Contributing. And then the final fight is like the worst way that could have ended, where you have to defend the bridge. That was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I thought it was a little bit lame, but
they don't do anything though to stray from that path.
So, but
you don't do anything.
What is a good first person shooter to you? Like, what's one where you're like, oh, this is new and fresh and great and mercy?
I'm going to stretch your definition of first person shooter. I'm going to say Portal.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, you shoot.
Portal's a good one.
Yeah, you shoot
but
portals.
It's traditionally not probably the first thing that. First person shooter, shoot and kill.
I think Doom.
Okay, Doom.
I'm just saying.
Doom 3.
I'm just being the guy. Doom.
Well, I think Duke Nukem Forever, but
Okay.
You mean Duke Nukem Never Again?
It's okay.
No, it isn't, and it will never be again.
Well, of course not, because it's Duke Nukem. It was never okay in the first place.
It was awesome in the first place.
It was awesome in the Duke Nukem 3D. Before that, it was just a...
Okay, so one game that I really like to play a lot, I know Calvary plays it too, and even Berserker Rage plays it sometimes, is Battlefield.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Battlefield is one of them games that you keep coming back to and coming back to. So like, what do you feel? What is the main driving concept behind Battlefield that makes you keep wanting to go back that other games might not have?
For me, Battlefield 3, the reason I like that is because, it's all it is you've got a team and you go in and you shoot things. Like, I understand that, some people like to have, story. I want a story. Oh, I want something to strive for. Well, sometimes it's fun just to...
Well, the biggest difference you need to make there is you're playing a multiplayer game. BioShock, single player game.
Okay, well, even like the first Halo, I think is like one of the best.
No, the first Halo was a great game,
it was,
even on single player.
Yes, so
yeah, and it went on to like define our whole control scheme for first-person shooters. It was a big deal.
Yeah, because it did the shield. I like that BioShock Infinite has the shields and the health. I like that when you have one that regenerates, and there's one where it's like, this is you're here to go find a health pack.
To go back to Duke Nukem, they had a nice shield in Duke Nukem Forever. The ego.
I thought that was great. Okay, a lot of people just claim that they just like slapped a different word over like a health bar, but you really got to think about it.
It changes the whole way that
you're Duke Nukem, and you're like fighting all these aliens, and every time you get shot, your ego goes down a little bit. So when your ego's low, what are you gonna do? You can't fight these aliens. You're gonna go run and hide because you can't do this.
Yeah,
you just won, and then you know what? Your ego builds back up, and what do? You run back out there, and you start because your ego's full again.
That's one of the only things about that game that I like. Because it's like, man, they're always like, oh, Duke's this big badass. Duke is the coolest. Always bet on Duke. Duke. He's the coolest. He doesn't have to answer you when his game's going to be ready. He's just going to lift some weights and there's an American flag. But it's like, oh, you're shooting Duke? Well, he's not really hurt. It's just, he's like, now he's discouraged. He's like, man, am I really cool enough to fight these aliens?
Am I really single-handedly?
And it's like, do I need to go ask for help? And then like slowly Bill Pickens like, no,
I can do this.
I'm Duke Nukem. This is a really bad impersonation.
I really am.
Are you Duke Nukem or Batman?
The president.
Wasn't Duke Nukem like the guy that's like, because the picture that it always comes, it looks like him.
What? What are you even talking about?
In that game, that line is from the little guy that comes up that says, "Are you a bad enough dude?" Like it looks like
the president's been captured by ninjas. So you a bad enough dude to save the president? I hope that's Duke Nukem. Like back in the day when he was like in the military before he was Duke Nukem, he was like Colonel Carnage. And like he just spans a whole bunch of games that no one knows about because he's trying to keep it on the DL.
It's all classified.
Yeah, you were not allowed to know. We've already stumbled. We've talked about it too much.
We have to continue on.
Okay,
so fitted contextually, and that was wonderful. Halo, shield fitted contextually.
Yeah.
Totally made sense.
Yeah.
Call of Duty.
Makes no sense.
Makes no sense at all.
You bleed out your eyes.
Yeah.
Does Call of Duty have a shield?
No, it's like you have regenerating health.
But your health regenerates. Because reasons.
Well,
steroids.
Because. Well, I mean, like the gameplay reason it makes sense is because with regenerating health, the gameplay can be faster.
Well, that's totally. I mean, gameplay. I'm just saying, contextually, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
There's not really a story explanation for why these bullet holes.
But there is a story explanation for why you have a shield in BioShock. It's kind of like really cheap, and it's like this is a kinetic barrier that stops bullets.
Yeah, it's magnetic,
yeah,
and you're gonna bounce away. 1912.
Sometimes I prefer them not to explain why you have a shield because like they did that in Mass Effect, but they like they're really in depth about their technology, and I'm like, this is really wordy, and I don't want to read this. You just have a shield.
The whole thing of Mass Effect is in depth and wordy.
Yeah. Like I tried to. I was like, man, I'm so interested in this game. Let's read about the weapons and armor, and I'm like, this was a bad idea.
My brain hurts.
Yeah, I was like, these are too many words. I don't want to just hurt people.
That's why in 3 it reads to you, Bobby.
Yeah, and
They came down to your level.
And
See, that bugs the crap out of me too. When they're like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read about the races, and they're like, in this age, the Turians, and I'm like, I can read faster than this. I just don't want a novel explaining the technology. That's all.
Mass Effect does have novels.
I know they do.
Mass Effect, the Shield novel. It's just a giant owner's manual. Thank you for purchasing the N7 armor.
So I guess I'm the only person that actually enjoyed reading about the kinetic colliding barrier shield.
I did read about them.
Oh no, I read like all the codex.
The cyclonic barrier.
No, you see, I like that. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting.
So what can a first-person shooter game do? Like just general, you're making a first-person shooter. You're trying to make it stand out from the rest.
Yeah.
What is the first thing that you want to do? Like this is no good. This is good. How do we keep this interesting? Leighton, go.
We're doing a single player game or multiplayer game?
Single player, just for the sake.
Single player game. Man. Okay, so the first thing I do is I wouldn't. One thing I love about BioShock, and I have high hopes for this game.
Yeah.
Is you don't do anything. Like the first
Oh,
hour.
that sounds great.
I like shooters where I don't do
I
anything.
just do nothing.
No.
Like Half-Life 1, where it's like, you want to sit on a gondola for 10 minutes and learn about science?
Not like that. But it gave me a chance to be like in the environment and to take it all in, and it was beautiful and wonderful. And then I really didn't enjoy this. Just like, what are those called? What are the little blades?
Skyhooks.
Skyhooks. It's like skyhook to the face. Shoot everybody. And I'm like, dang it! Now we're into like this is what I was wanting to avoid.
One thing that really, what do you mean you want? Okay, what do you mean?
I get it. You were in this awesome environment, and then suddenly you felt like it was cheapened. Like it's like, oh, here's this thing. We're setting you up with this dark backstory. We're setting all this stuff up. Oh, but now we've basically reduced it to, hey, there's blades in your face.
Yeah, point and shoot.
But it's, see, I think that like the society that you're walking around in, it like has this fragile mask that's kind of putting on.
Yeah, like you said in your video.
Yeah, to like cover up some sort of shady aspect, and then like the violence is just everyone culminating on that one point that there is just a thin line between this being the civilized world and what it truly is, like a world spurred by violence and, well, not entirely, but hatred towards races and other people.
Yeah.
And I thought I don't have any problem with like suddenly now it's all
sudden
like
outbreak.
No, that's not. That wasn't the problem. It was because that's great. Like you shattered the facade. Beautiful.
You.
Yeah. Like that's even and the wonderful like choice you have to make right before that. That's awesome.
I don't know anyone who's like, I'm gonna throw
it at a racial couple
because I have a huge.
Because I'm a
Yeah.
Wait, nobody else did that?
Now we see who the bad person is in the room.
Did your game end differently?
Yeah,
Like you were never able to win.
It's
Wait,
like
no,
you're a
'cause
bad person.
I got killed by the songbird in chapter 14. Is that not what happens?
no. It's like you throw the baseball bat and like it hits them, and then they just like, oh guys, he's one of us. Oh, he's not that bad. And
Walk around the city list again.
Yeah,
Hey man, you have a place to
You want to
stay.
meet Elizabeth? Sure, man.
Yeah,
Go here.
here we go. Give her high fives. No one cares. Yeah.
No, it's okay. So my problem with that is that it's immediately after that. It's you go straight to punch everybody in the face until you kill someone with a gun that you can then pick up, and then you shoot everybody in the face until that stops, and then you get to do more story stuff.
Just a string of pearls.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
Okay, so for everybody, do you want to explain?
You
it?
can have.
Okay, the string of pearls is I'm sure I got this wrong on some level. Is where picture a string of pearls. Good job.
No.
Now each pearl is an
You're
action
asking
segment of the game, and like the string between them is the narrative or whatever, something else that carries you on to the next arena, so to speak. So basically, it's just like fight point to fight point to fight point to fight point.
Just clumps of action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's use that then for BioShock because it's reversed in BioShock. The important thing is that string, not the pearls.
Yeah. The setting is what's the.
Yeah.
It's like as much a character as the main character.
And in this case, those pearls, which are still the action, are actually taken away from the string. And that's my biggest problem with it.
So you're saying there's like a beautiful golden chain that they ruined
by
attaching
doing
other
these cheap,
jewelry to
crappy
it?
plastic pearls.
I've actually played games like that too. I can't recall them at the moment, but I have played
one
them.
thing that really stands out to me whenever I thought about it was God of War. God of War did this really terribly.
That's one of the games.
Yeah,
I was so into the story of God of War. I was like, oh man, this guy, he made this deal to save his life, and he ended up ruining his entire life, and he's out for vengeance. And then the whole thing just becomes like, hey man, do you want to see like organs? Hey, I bet you want to rip out organs, don't you? All you are is a guy who likes boobs, and you like to crush faces.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I don't care about Kratos anymore. I don't care about his tragic past. I don't want to see him redeemed. I don't want to see him get his freedom. Because, I mean, what's he gonna do? He's just gonna... all he is just a guy who crushes faces and likes boobs.
Yeah,
that's all he is.
So he's the average American.
America. One game that does this really good, that kind of basically looks at the string of pearls and just throws it out the window, is Uncharted 2. Because it really connects the action sequences and the story sequences, and there are parts that slow down, but it's like it doesn't feel like, you know, it doesn't feel like the game's like, oh, be ready, there's a huge action part coming up. It's like, okay, because like, you know, it's like a cool down, like a little bit, and you know, you learn more about the world as you're going on, and like stuff's happening as like even though you're doing like platforming bits, like, you know, the places and stuff is like falling around you, and you don't. It kind of like deviates from the action scene.
It's flowing. And I hate, so BioShock's guilty of it. I remember Mass Effect being really guilty of it. You run into a room and you're like, there's cover everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. There's clearly
I'm about to have to
a
bunch of people.
Like, oh look, this wall where there aren't any other. Oh man, I bet I'm gonna. Oh look, there's bullets. Good thing I saw this wall.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Oh, there's that one really big door you walk up to and you're like, I'm gonna open this door. And there's gonna be a
Oh,
gladiator.
look at all this health and ammo on the side.
Oh, boss fountain. What?
And a save point. What could possibly be on the other side?
That's like in like a lot of JRPGs. Like you're running, you're doing all this stuff. It's like, oh, there's a save point. Well, I definitely need that because I've been grinding through this forest for about an hour now. I've run into a shopkeeper mysteriously in the woods.
What are you buying?
Who said that I might need recovery items, and now there's a save point.
You might need recovery items. Stranger.
Thank you, sir.
I have another. Well, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and say I disagree with you, because I think... How dare you. Oh, I did it. But I think that the parts that talk about the setting are strong enough to, like you said, those are the pearls and the action points are the strings. You're basically going from setting point to setting point in a game like BioShock.
Yeah.
But I think that there's not really too much of like the slowdown sequences, like in the very beginning, like where it's like, you know, catch your breath here, and right after you rescue Elizabeth for the first time, it's like you kind of get to walk around a little bit. It feels like, you know, those aren't that, like, that's not why I play the game. I really do like the combat. I like how fluid it kind of works, how you can, you know, each person kind of plays it a little bit differently. Granted, it's not like it's not a huge difference, because it's like I use this gun instead of this one, and I use Plasma Day instead of Plasma
Vigor.
C.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever. No one cares. I care. It's like,
You care. Only you.
but whatever. I made my point. You got anything to say?
One of my biggest complaints about BioShock, and really the whole Pearl theory in general, is it always feels like you're being baited. You know, like you see that one save point and you're like, oh man, I better make sure that when I
There's
get mad...
no save points in the game.
Well,
it auto saves and you can save whatever you want.
Not particularly You're so angry. Gosh.
That was nice.
Yeah.
No Vita Chambers.
Yeah. It's,
God.
you always get to those games.
You know, I noticed that there wasn't, like, I was going to play BioShock the way you told me to without using the Vita Chambers, and I noticed that there was option in there to turn those off.
There is where?
If you go through the
if you
Ultimate
just- if it's
Rapture
just-
Edition, there's another difficulty that'll turn.
I don't know. I just went and bought a copy of the game. I don't know if it's a special edition. Or
It must have been an
anything.
update or something then, because I got the Rapture Edition, and you have the option to turn them off.
Because that's
There was just a thing
It's a
in
whole
there.
different game then, but whatever.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I was just pointing it out.
Anyways, it feels like in a lot of those games, you always seem to get baited to go into the next section. Like, oh, there's a save point, or oh, that really big door I mentioned earlier, or oh, there's a random stash of ammo here that I'm probably going to have to use in about 25 seconds when the screaming horde of madmen comes pouring through random gaps. And whenever these bad guys come, pouring through the walls, and I feel like one of the best things a game can do is to not bait you into those random segments. Like BioShock, you pull the lever in the little gondola and you go down a rail.
You
and
initiate
off.
the sequence.
And you initiate it, yeah. I feel like since the concept of a first-person shooter is just so accessible, I mean, like 1774, Life was a first-person shooter. Oh god, there's bad guys. Let me grab a gun and point and shoot. That was how America was built.
1774, Life was a first-person shooter.
I should
Experience the troubles of their revolutionary man as he wages through the
But
battlefield.
I mean, like, it's an easily relatable concept, because, I mean, like, shit like that has happened to people. I mean...
War is a first-person shooter.
Life is a first-person shooter, Ryan.
Go to Walmart. There's someone there. Hey, you need help? What do you have in your hand? Just.
Walmart is a first-person shooter.
It can be.
I feel like one of the best things a game can do, though, is to kind of implement that same sense of realism where it's gonna be sudden. You don't know if there's a bad guy randomly.
So it's like,
you
okay,
want
so-
organic gameplay.
Yes.
And I'm
So-
going to point to Dishonored.
Exactly. I feel like Dishonored was one of... God, you read my mind, man. That was crazy. I feel like Dishonored was one of those
We also
games
have a
where...
cue card that says bring up this. No.
Wait, why did I look? I was like, that's Batman.
What are we talking about next, guys?
Turn in our studio.
Giveaway
to
prizes. Oh.
Even though, Dishonored had the fact that, you have these cool arcane powers, it was always one of those things where, you're hiding behind a wall, and you gotta peek out and see, is there a bad guy there? And, even though you could technically look through the wall and see the guys.
Or you could just use your power that can see through walls.
Exactly. I mean, even when you see the guy through the wall, though, you always have the moment where you stop and you're like, okay, can I take this guy? What else is going on? Is my weapon loaded? And it seems like in games like this, you just have that briefest moment of panic. Like, am I ready for this? Okay, I think I'm good. Let me just teleport and stab the dude in the throat and, like, disintegrate his body and all that good stuff.
But one of the reasons for that is it's not staged. It's not scripted setup scene. Like, you have a goal, and you have to make your way to the goal, and that's the only obstacle they give you.
Hitman does the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hitman. You can
exactly.
play it as hard as you want or as easy as you want. And that's dangerous as far as design is, to leave the fun up to the player. Player, make your own fun.
Like Minecraft.
But Minecraft does great.
Yeah.
People are okay with that, it seems like. It's not for everyone.
Okay. How can you make a story-driven experience that isn't just like this mission is here because of this cutscene and like this? Like, how can you make like a story-heavy game like BioShock happen with such an open-ended gameplay? Because I mean, Dishonored did this greatly, but there was it was like, go kill this guy because he's bad, and like do this because we're gonna get the Empress back. Like.
Yeah.
The storyline didn't come nearly as heavy as any of the. I haven't played BioShock 2.
No,
but,
I haven't played BioShock
It didn't exist.
Yeah, it's.
They made a second one?
You mean Infinite?
This is like the Matrix movie.
But yeah,
they really should make some sequels.
It doesn't get as So how do you suggest that
To add organic gameplay to BioShock?
I think one
to
way,
first-person shooters.
Or to first-person shooters in
I
general?
think one way that would be good to do that is that they need to take out. They need to find, if you're going to have a story-driven gameplay thing, have somebody in there write in a way to make it where your character is making the choice. Don't make it where oh, you're the main character, you're the hero we've been waiting for, but to stop evil Emperor, we need the orb of fire and the orb of water and you can't have it. It's tiring to have someone be like, okay.
You're the only person that
Like-
can do this,
like-
but luckily
no,
we
it's
have
like-
a checklist of everything.
Yeah,
that
it's
you
like,
have.
okay, here's your little checklist. Here's your go
The
kill every.
prophecy wrote this grocery list for you.
Exactly. It's like it's you need to have someone be like, okay, well, we know that this is happening and this is happening. This might be an advantage we can use, and then like have other characters do stuff too. Like that way, it's like your character chose like it's like, oh man, maybe if we can get behind this wall somehow. It's like, well, okay.
Can I point to
Yeah,
one of my
just-
favorite
just
game series
yell, just
here?
yell.
Okay.
Mass Effect 2 does that. Does everything
have-
that you've mentioned.
Oh, I haven't
So
gotten
far.
to Mass Effect 2
What
yet.
a
Okay.
douche.
Hey, I'm still trying to play.
But that's what it comes down to. It's and wait, 2 or 3.
Probably 2.
Which one's the one where you have to get all the resources?
2.
Okay, so 2.
No,
Yeah.
Is it 2? Yeah.
It's generally that.
Yeah,
You're left up
you
with
want
decisions.
it's
Like,
probe launch.
do you want to save the Rachni and have them become part of your army, or maybe they're gonna hurt you, maybe they're gonna harm you. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's towards this common goal, and then at the end, which they could have handled probably better. You have to choose which characters are gonna go handle which tasks. If you choose the wrong person, then they're gonna die, and you're gonna lose
Or
them.
the game kind of flips a coin at the end, and it's like some person
It's-
might die anyway. But
It's a little.
no,
It's actually all
yeah,
mathematically.
I actually like that because even if you do everything perfect, 'cause it's really easy to be like, oh, this person goes here, this person, like you still might lose. I
Yeah.
like that, but whatever, it's not important.
But like basically what I'm saying is like it's better. I think people would be more engaged in it in the story or at least that part of it. I mean, it could be a first-person shooter, but it could be like, oh, okay, well, you got to get this gate down, like from this maximum security prison. Okay, you can either go in, sneak in, and open the gate, or you can go in, all guns blazing, and you can just blow the shit out of the gate, or you can like go and hack into the system and unlock it from like far away,
that's
or
a
you can
lot.
like
Deus Ex.
Deus
Deus Ex.
Deus Ex does
Yeah, or
this.
like-
Or
yeah.
really a lot of
One of
okay,
my favorite
Hitman,
series of all times.
and
Deus
then
Ex.
also Dishonored. They're all open-ended into how you achieve your goal.
See, I think
You have
that
to go into it.
I think that would make first-person shooters a lot more fun. Just by a story standpoint, because that makes it feel like I don't know. It sucks to just be like, here you're at point A, go to point B. Here's your pistol, shoot everything in the head to get there.
So
Now, some
we-
people would argue that they'd say like, well, BioShock isn't trying to be this game. It's not trying to be the open-endedness that Deus Ex or Dishonored or Hitman was. Like they have a story to tell, and like that's.
Yeah.
But
that's great.
yeah, but actually, I would disagree because they put so much time in the setting that they want you to interact with it a little bit, and some things where you can actually interact with it other than like I'm going to eat this apple out of a trash can would be
There's cotton
Yeah,
candy in
I
a
agree.
chocolate bar box.
And so that's why I'm saying I don't think it needed to be a game with gameplay. I think if they would have created an interactive narrative that you can explore the world, you can do things within the world, and you have an effect on them, but you're not a superhero, you're not super powered. Almost like a Myst with a really good story.
Myst has a really good story.
I don't know what it is.
How dare you?
And that'd be great because they get their linear narrative, they get us to make our choices in it because, like in BioShock 1, it's very important that you're doing these things to the story. That's the beautiful thing of that. And then they get just that interactiveness that you get to actually go explore. You're not on a rail or anything, and I think that would be great.
Like a sky rail.
Like Scrabble.
Shut up.
I don't get it.
I haven't played.
But for me,
Says
yeah.
the man with the sky hook in his passenger seat.
He has a sky hook in his passenger seat.
That's true statement.
I haven't. Never mind.
But I think that would have, for me, improved the game.
So, aside from making it like a narrative experience like the original Walking Dead, not Survival Instinct, let's clarify that again.
Well, I'm pretty sure that whenever we say The Walking Dead, and we're talking about the good one,
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
know. Aside from making that our goal, let's go back to what Scribble said. How could we make first-person shooter games more interesting in themselves? So when we look at stuff like Dishonored, assuming that it's a first-person shooter and not like a platforming teleporting shenanigans, and stuff like Deus Ex.
The genre of this game is shenanigans. It's a new.
Yeah,
I'm sorry if someone marketed their game like this is a
Yeah.
shenanigans game. I'd be like, Pre-order
Sold.
Yeah.
I don't care how much you're charging me for this.
Is it full of rapscallions? Oh, you bet it is. Oh, done.
Oh, ragamuffins galore. Oh, man.
Well, like, what are the commonalities between Dishonored and Deus Ex? Like, what are
They
the...
both start with D's.
Oh,
Fair point.
done.
Done.
that's-
Okay, so
that's the secret.
So
Next
next
point.
point.
Bioshock was a B. 2 off.
Sandwiches, guys. Listen.
One of the things I love, because I've played Deus Ex since the original one came out on PC. It was the first game I ever owned, actually. Tier. And, you know, stuff like Dishonored. One of the things I liked best about it was they were technically linear games, but because they gave you the amount of choice, you know, with do I want to shoot this guy in the face
Yeah,
or
when
choke him out?
I played Dishonored here, like, I thought that too. I was like, you know, I only just now realized that I'm going down a straight planned path, and it's like, but that's cool, because they're like, how do you want to kill that guy? Do you even want to kill that guy?
Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't
I mean, like,
this
the...
guy.
God, I mean, Dishonored levels, I think 2 and 4 take place in literally like the same 3 city blocks.
Yeah.
But they're such drastically different experiences every time you go through it.
And
even
also because, like, you know, the stuff you do in the level before can affect.
exactly, and I think that's one of the things that first-person shooters are missing.
I really wish that. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, I mean by all means, go ahead.
By all means, keep interrupting me. I think Bioshock really missed out on that because I know it's lame to be like, well, they said at the beginning, before they even finished the game, that they were gonna... But they kind of said, like, there's gonna be different factions in the game, and, like, you know, if you do this, then, like, you know, this faction might help you out, this faction might hurt you, or whatever. And, like, you kind of saw that, but it really could have been played out more. But whatever. I think that would have been a cool addition.
But they made it all scripted. Like, you didn't have a choice, and were you gonna, you know... Maybe you wanted to be Fink's head of security and, you know, just not help the Vox Populi. Maybe you wanted to just paint your face red and go shoot Comstock in the face multiple times. Maybe you just wanted to, like, grab a parachute and jump the hell off of, like, a blimp. That's what I would have done. Just grabbed a tablecloth or something and tried to
I kept trying
that
to
way.
do that.
Didn't work.
I kept doing it on accident. I'd like skyhook and it'd be like, attack that guy.
I always thought it was weird how if you fall off Columbia, it's like, no, you didn't. You're here.
Never mind.
You're fine.
Scratch that.
Yeah.
You're cool.
Shh, nobody saw that.
Yeah.
Walk it off.
You're not crazy. That never happened.
The hand of God just...
Yeah. So make the game strive to make first person shooter games more open. What do you think some of the why do you think they don't do that in a lot of chances?
I feel like in a lot of cases, yeah, it's difficult to write for that. I mean, because you have to be able to... It's like sitting down for a Dungeons and Dragons game. I mean,
I'm gonna have to disagree, because, like, honestly, I don't see how writing for a first-person shooter is... I mean, other than the technology, I mean, yeah, you have to go in a little bit more in depth than... Like, this place is made of bricks and stones and wood. Yay! But, you know, we have to be a little bit more in depth with it. But, I mean, gameplay-wise, having a gun is no different than having a fantasy game where your only weapon is like a crossbow. So it's like, you know, the writing. I don't think the gameplay should.
I don't think the writing is what's
hard.
It's the gameplay.
It's covering all your aspects.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah.
I have this guy. He's going to be randomly walking on this path, and I have to make him available to people who went with the stealth route. That was the problem with Deus Ex that people had. You become the stealth character. You get to a boss fight where you have to shoot everything. You're kind of screwed.
You're kind of screwed because all you have is that one like silenced pistol.
And that was a bunch of problems in development, but it's really hard, you know, just to develop for that. Yeah. You make a linear game where I know you're going to be using these guns, and you have to go shoot them dead. That's easy.
Cool, it's easy because they
give
you
tools.
tools.
At that point, the only strategy you have to use is, maybe you need to use like your rocket launcher to blow off a piece of armor, and then use your machine gun to do fast damage.
It's still not terribly difficult, but I think that's what you start seeing is you start seeing developers who are focused on the mechanical side gameplay, and that's what they want, and narrative suffers usually, and then you have Bioshock where the narrative's beautiful and the gameplay suffered, in my opinion, and that's more of a problem with, I think, development and time and resources and publishers trying to get your game out the door. And unless you're Valve or Blizzard, you don't have that luxury of just sitting around all day.
Well, okay, in Blizzard's case, it doesn't really matter if they do or don't. They have already dug themselves into the hole because the World of Warcraft fandom jumps into everything Blizzard does, and it does not matter what Blizzard does. They could make the best.
They could make like a card game. and then
Didn't they do
No,
that?
they're making one.
what?
It does not matter what.
Da-da-da-ba-da-ba.
It does not matter what Blizzard does because Blizzard fans are the whiniest, most insatiable assholes in the world. You can go to any game that Blizzard has made for the forum for that game. It is constantly just people being like, I can't believe you fixed this but didn't fix that. Oh, you fixed this? Well, now that broke my thing.
Are we
That's
talking
just-
about Blizzard games, or are we talking about every Call of Duty ever made?
I'm talking about Blizzard in general.
Okay, have you noticed the circle of like Call of Duty games where it's like Call of Duty game gets announced, people get overhyped and really excited about it. Call of Duty game comes out, people say it's not as good as the last one. They buy more copies of the older one, and then people get tired of it, buy the new one, and then the new one comes out again.
Yeah.
Like
It's like Fable.
that's what happens.
Black Ops came out, everybody-
Fable happens. The game game says it's gonna be great. It comes out, everyone's mad.
You're
That's
gonna
because
play
Peter
with your
Molyneux-
friends,
Peter
and you're gonna get
Molyneux is
money
actually-
from it, and it's gonna make your dreams come true.
Peter Molyneux is actually probably Satan, because I have never seen someone who could go out in public and lie to your face like that with a big smile and show you stuff. He showed you things, and you're like, what you just showed me with physical evidence that I processed with my eye brain was awesome. And then it comes out, and it's like, oh, hey, I fed off of all of your dreams and shut out this game! Fuck you, Peter Molyneux!
If you have
like
a
him.
baby in the game, you will also
Have a
be
baby.
delivered a baby in real
What?
life. Like,
He walked into the house and shot his friend's wife!
Zerk, we know, buddy. We know. Those were dark days.
I don't know. I'm really confused right now.
Okay, me and Zerk were really looking forward to Fable 2. Like, we watched every video about it. Like,
Yeah,
every
That's
Fable 2
all
was
we
great.
talked about.
Fable 2 was awesome.
No.
No, I won't! I will kill you. I will jump across this room and I will slaughter you.
Okay, let's just take the title Fable 2. If we took every letter out for like everything they promised that wasn't delivered, it'd be called
That's a
He-
fair point, I guess.
He just gets overexcited about his
Yeah.
own game.
yeah. What's that?
I'm
cute
making
one?
a cube game. I don't remember. Curiosity, and when you get to the middle, whenever you do get to the middle, which I'm pretty sure people stopped playing a long time ago, it's going to change your life.
It's going to change your life. And
He
you-
made me that promise. If I get to the middle of that cube, it will change my life. I'm not going to get to the middle of the cube, but
not with that attitude.
not with one phone in person.
Okay, so first-person shooters, we all agree. Oh no! Well,
It's begun.
the earthquake.
Did somebody get to the middle of the cube?
Yeah,
Help, it's Peter Molyneux. He's come to beat me up for bad mouthing his game.
It's all the Blizzard fans. So
Nerf Paladins!
there are
Guys.
okay. So we've discussed that there are benefits for keeping your game linear. There, the reasons for why not every game is open and big and dumb. Not dumb.
A lot
Yes.
of them are dumb, but
Did you want to make a point?
No,
Why are you knocking on wood?
I want to hear it later.
Okay.
Yay!
Well, I guess.
I listened to this podcast. When I go to
Okay,
sleep
we
at
need to
night,
talk
and I-
about, like, okay, gameplay-wise,
Whoop.
what they can do to improve first-person shooters.
Well, that's really broad, with
Well, it's
no
like, okay.
constraints.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, okay, in this day and age, like, every big developer is like, oh man, we should make a first-person shooter because that's what all the cool kids want to play. But
That was
it's
like
like,
2000, but yes.
you know what I'm saying? There was a time when, like, big freaking influx of first-person shooters
Every
was
other
never
game released
ending.
was a World War II shooter. Yeah.
And they were all like, oh, overhyped big-time games, well, we're gonna be so fun. And it's like, you can't, like, I feel like in the market now, you can't make a game where it's just go here and shoot things while you're going. Like, you have to have something else in there now. Or
Yeah, it's called a story.
Well, I'm not... shut up! I'm talking about gameplay! I hate this guy.
I don't know. I think he's pretty cool.
I think that's why
he
you see-
brings us beer.
Well, I can't... Well,
Hey,
he
I have
gave
a Red
me
Apple Ale.
I can't do that because
I think
he
that's
gave
why
me
you
an
see
ale and enjoyed
the
it.
influx of
You can use the skateboard to sit back.
Oh, okay. I think that's why you see the influx of these hybrid RPG shooters, which wasn't terribly popular, but now we have Borderlands, Mass Effect, and
I don't know. I
even-
really
and
actually
even,
Fallout.
like. I really enjoyed when that started happening. 'Cause I was
even,
like, oh,
even Call of Duty and Battlefield
Even Call of-
have
even-
RPG elements.
Because
that-
you've got your character
Bi-
upgrades.
Bioshock
you have to kind of
Infinite,
plan
yeah.
out your strategies.
You have stuff now, and that's great. And I think that is their attempt of I can't just hand you Thompson walk on, go shoot Nazis. Okay,
Kill 'em.
man, my favorite gun
Thanks.
is the Thompson walk on.
and that's a good thing. That's an attempt to change it, but I think there is sort of this limit that you get to with point and shoot, that if you're doing a single player story game, you either better have a really awesome story, or there's not a terribly lot you can do with that.
I think also there needs to be breaks into shooter gameplay. Not obviously, you're playing this first person shooter, suddenly here's a knife, be a sneak game. But like one thing that is like, this is another thing about like tired models, gaming models, like what I'm going to point out Blizzard, when they were like, okay, people are getting sick of WoW, how do we bring them back in?
We destroy the world!
That expansion was terrible. But like,
Okay, you finish first, and then I want to come back. To
I still think Fable 2 was a great game.
Okay, what?
Fable 2
why,
basic-
why do you guys keep doing this? I don't understand. It's
Sorry, I had that on my
it's like-
chest,
It's
and
like,
you cut
hey,
it off.
why don't we just talk about something completely different that'll
I'm
make,
trying to
that'll
point
make
out something-
Scribble, Scrab, and Zerk just go off for an hour? I mean, because no, you keep talking. You don't talk about Fable 2 until next time.
well, like, okay, one thing I liked is that, okay, it's a World of Warcraft fantasy MMO. You've got your mage or your Healy guy or your warrior. You're either hitting stuff with a sword and clicking like a couple skills, or you're clicking a couple skills to cast a magic spell. But what Blizzard did is that every now and then it's like, oh no, warrior, these people are attacking in their bomber plane. You better jump on that turret, and suddenly you're not like running up to nameless face guy A and killing him with your sword. Suddenly you're on a turret and you've got these like different things, and you're like sitting there aiming and shooting, and they change it up and they give you different things to do. Like, oh, now you have to ride this raptor all the way to this place because he can't stop moving because he's crazy. And it's like, it was cool. I liked that a whole lot, that they changed up the gameplay. So in a shooter game, I think there should be points where it's like, you're not shooting anymore, now you're doing something else. Like, oh man, now you have to drive this car while this guy shoots, or you have to do this thing now. You have to like build this thing back before something happens. I don't know.
And that's one of the cool things about Halo.
Didn't Luke
They're like
Skywalker
vehicles.
do all of those?
Shut up!
If you take out like car or whatever he said with X-Wing, then yes.
Well, you like think about it. Like, he trained to be a Jedi, hopped in a turret on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
It was an awesome action sequence because it was kind of different. Next movie, oh my god, everything's frozen. He's on like some raptor thing that like,
And he had
almost
to
gets
drive,
eaten.
he had to drive a snow speeder while someone else shot a gun around and wrapped it.
Yeah, it's like totally different. Then he like has to like levitate another X-wing thing and like fix it, and there's like some green thing on his back punching him in the throat.
Punch you in the throat, open now.
It's whatever. I see what you're saying. Part of the things that makes those segments appealing is because they're different, but it's all still relatable. Like, it's clearly the same character, settings a
It's
little
just,
bit different.
yeah, it's like if someone was like, oh, you're in a post-apocalyptic world now, but there are people who are crazy and they'll shoot you, so you need to defend yourself with this gun. Okay, well, at some point during your trip to the safe haven in real life, you're not going to be just shooting. You're going to have to, like, collect supplies. You're going to have to kick in a door and, like,
so
rewire something.
Going back to Infinite, ignoring the whole narrative, if you could at some point get inside Somberg and control him,
It's
him.
and, like,
It's
that thing.
take out Zeppelins for a good minute, like, that'd be really awesome. And that would change up the gameplay.
So that's what shooters
And they never
need.
did that. That's my biggest point.
I wish they did something
never
more
did
with
that.
Songbird.
They never gave you control of anything but your character.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes sense because, they wanted to get you are in this character's shoes.
Well, you were never like character plus something. It was character plus himself and some guns.
Well, okay, before someone gets mad and says, like,
Fair true.
Bioshock does this, they give you stuff to do to, like, mix it up. It's like, okay, you're not killing people here now, you're learning about Duke and Dimwit. And,
Why'd you say dimwit and point at me?
because, hey.
But
for
I don't think they do that.
You don't think so?
No, like there's lots of cool things. That's all part of setting the atmosphere that I can look at. I can't physically do something. And I'm gonna say, Zelda does a wonderful job of this. Like it has action, it has puzzles, it has platforming, it has
Random horse races.
horse races. BioShock didn't have horse races.
Well, you're not wrong.
Not. But they didn't do anything else. And in those games, I don't think you can have these strictly genre games. And BioShock is...
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Because we've all played those games a million times now.
Well, that's all that we had. I
Yeah.
mean, they're what defined those genres. But...
Well, yeah, but at a certain
So-
point you have to change it up.
Well, yeah. So Doom defines first-person shooter when it first comes out. And that's all it was.
That's all. Yeah, because that's...
And that's okay.
You didn't
for
know,
it.
you didn't play Doom for its gripping narrative?
Doom had a narrative?
You're a spaceman, and you are alive.
Did you see the
There are
cover?
demons.
The cover was the narrative.
Chainsaw!
But yeah, and so BioShock is probably one of the more pure games that I've played like that recently. Like it is, it does have a little RPG because you can upgrade stuff, and I can choose my character things. Although I had so much money, it really didn't matter what I upgraded. And it had some action elements because there were basically quick time event things. Jump off this, jump on this.
But they weren't big enough as a whole.
No, there wasn't enough of it, and it wasn't.
It wasn't really anything to distract you from the fact.
Yeah,
that in
compared to
another
the
3
amount of
seconds,
shooting
you're
I
gonna
had to
shoot
do.
stuff in the face. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
so
so tiny.
do you want to start doing closing statements, or is there something else that you really want to yell about?
I still think Fable 2 was a great
Okay,
game.
we're not talking about that right now.
I'm gonna hurt you! I'm gonna hurt him.
Me too.
Here, have a red Zeppel ale.
Okay, I forgive you.
Friend. So, Zerk, why don't you go first?
Basically, I'm just gonna say that for the future of first-person shooters, like they just need they need to work on their stories. That needs to be a thing that stays with them because that I think when stories and RPG elements first started getting into shooters, I got way more into them than I was, and they need to work on being more than just shooting. You need to do something else. Even if it's like only one other thing, you have to have something to break up the shooting because it will get really old really fast.
Okay, I think BioShock, even if it was a great game, I really wouldn't. The only thing that I would change is more like breathing segments that let you take in the setting more. And I really wish that you would have some sort of fight against Songbird so you can like level how powerful he actually is instead of like someone's like he's really powerful. Like,
Did you see him tear that thing?
Whoa!
And now he's dead.
Living things.
Spoilers.
Like,
I didn't see that.
I think they should have done that. I don't necessarily agree that every game needs, like, something else to do it. Because, I mean, I really like simple games.
Simple Game's great. Journey is a great game. Only thing you do, run.
No, like,
And jump.
okay. No,
That's fine.
I know you're not saying, like, super, but, I think games with one really good fleshed out idea can sustain a whole 12-hour point.
That's true. I just thought of a really good example. Time Splitters. All that game was a shooter. You did nothing else but shoot. Sometimes you got on a turret and you shot things, but the game was really funny, and that, like, the gameplay itself was just really just tight and fun. And then the characters were hilarious, and that made you want to play it more, so they would say more funny things.
We should play Time Splitters.
Hell yeah, we should.
Alright, so what do you think?
Great.
I think it's a really good point. Like, games, even if all you're going to do is shoot, like you mentioned Portal 2 earlier, fantastic game, you point, you shoot, you make random holes in things, and you try to get out of some, like, seemingly infinite underground
I'm
complex.
gonna go ahead.
You make holes in things in other first-person shooters.
You make holes in people.
Anyways, it's one of the hardest things I think to do in game development is to find that one awesome idea, because let's face it, a lot of really awesome ideas have been taken already. So, and like Zerk said, the story is really important, but you also need to have those moments where you can make it more than a shooting game, whether it is go swim and find this underwater treasure, or go through melee people
Sharks.
faces off.
Sharks.
Like,
I went through melee people shark.
well, like Far Cry, shooting game, all you did basically.
That's what I thought you were
was
talking about. Like,
Oh man, Far Cry 3 is a great example.
Yeah.
but
That's what I was totally talking about.
and I
Well
don't
done.
consider, I don't consider it a first-person shooter. It's more of like an open-world game.
It's
Like-
a first-person like adventure
Yeah.
game where you shoot.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what the genre should kind of move to overall. Is it shouldn't be just a shooter. If you want to punch sharks in the
Right.
face, you should have the option.
Yeah, I don't think it can be just a shooter. And I agree. If you have one thing that you can do really well, then it's fine. And BioShock, that's the narrative, that's the atmosphere, and they nailed it. They couldn't have done that any better.
One game that kind of does this now is the new Super Mario Brothers. It's like just platforming.
That's
But-
all Super Mario's ever been.
No, because like
Did you
Super
ever
Mario
play Super
Galaxy,
Mario
like, you know,
RPG?
they add all these
Yeah,
other
platforming.
elements.
If you
But like,
say anything
Mario's.
about
you
Mario
know, new
RPG,
Super
I'll
Mario
kill you.
Brothers is just like that's it.
Sounds
Just
good.
you like Mario, good, and you know. But it does that so well that people are kind of like
Yeah, and I wanted to mention that at some point, but we've kind of passed it. But that Mario is like the perfect example of we are making a game with gameplay, and then at the other end, I think we have Infinite because Mario gameplay don't make any sense. Like, why do I hit these blocks with my hand and mushrooms pop out and the mushrooms make me bigger? But sometimes they don't. Sometimes they give me more life, and sometimes if I hit these enemies on the top, they'll die, and sometimes. But anyways, and it doesn't make sense, but it's really fun. Infinite, not really fun, but it makes complete sense and like everything's beautiful and awesome. And they did that so well. And I don't want anyone to think that I'm not recommending Infinite. Everyone should play Infinite if you like games because it did that one thing better than anyone else has done, I think. But it can be improved on, and I think removing the gameplay would actually improve it.
All right, well, thanks everybody for doing
Yeah.
for this. Hold on.
Oh.
Oh.
Thanks everyone for joining us around the campfire for this episode of Pandora's podcast. We hope to see you next time fairly soon.
I just realized I'm holding this thing upside down.
Oh well.
Doesn't matter.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Why are you clapping?
For myself.